Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports.
Welcome to the Buckeye Blitz on FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. I'm Jeff Fedoff. Tito, they call me. Follow me on Twitter at FitHappens. Love to hear from you. Feedback, any questions you've got, I would love to hear back from you at FitHappens on Twitter. 59 days until the Indiana game for Ohio State to kick off the football season. On the road for Ohio State in Bloomington, a Big Ten game to start the season. 52 days until the start of the season. They used to call it week 0. Now I think it's all just kind of lumped into week 1. But there are games 52 days from now. Most notably, Notre Dame Navy is the one in Ireland that I think most people are paying attention to. Some news that's come out lately is that they put themes on all these home games for Ohio State. And October 21st, when Ohio State hosts Penn State, it's called Scarlet the Shoe, where they went with Scarlet to the game. It's, our version of the white out, whatever you want to call it. Speaking of Penn State, by the way, they've had success under James Franklin. Now, Penn State certainly has had some hard times with all the scandals involving, obviously, Joe Paterno and Jerry Sandusky and all that, and had some lean years. And look, with how great Penn State was when they came into the Big Ten, I'm not sure if they've lived up to what we thought Penn State would bring to the Big Ten. Now, certainly not on the end of Nebraska. Nebraska's been the one that's disappointed me the most on what they've done since they came to the Big Ten. I was hoping for the Tom Osborne-ish kind of Nebraska Cornhuskers, never got it. Penn State for years was a consistent top 10 team and a national title contender, and they haven't really been that for quite a while. It seems like they could beat everybody except Michigan and Ohio State when it comes to the big games when they need to win those. But anyway, James Franklin came out, though, their head coach, and he was talking to On3 Sports recently. And here's a couple of quotes, by the way, that I picked up on from that. He said, I genuinely believe we are in a better position than ever before to win a national championship. Our coaching staff and the support we receive from the university administration are exceptional. I said that. He also followed up with this, and this is the part that was interesting to me, is really the one thing that's lagging that we got to get right is NIL. I think we are headed in the right direction, but we also need to be willing to talk about it publicly. Hopefully a bunch of Penn Staters understand the importance of it. So interesting about that is because I know Ohio State has recently amped up their NIL game, and some of it's been from, pleas from Ryan Day and pleas from Gene Smith to alumni and businesses and Ohio State fans to get involved. There are a lot of different options now, ways you can do it. Todd Markowitz, who was the general manager of 97.1 The Fan, the flagship station in Columbus that carries all the Ohio State things here, ESPN affiliate in Columbus, he left his post with 97.1 to go to be the president of this the 1870 Foundation, where it is an NIL collective also. And Tyvis Powell, former Buckeye, also involved in that with Markowitz. But so Ohio State's ramped up their game there. And James Franklin's kind of saying, look, this is the only thing holding us back. So I understand why he says it, but look, the universities and the ADs and the coaches, the people that are out there that are most well-known are going to keep begging for money, begging for NIL, and thinking that will end up being the difference for them. This whole NIL thing, though, is so it's such a mess as far as you've got the NCAA saying, we wish the government would get involved and regulate this because we can't figure it out. And the NCAA is like, no, it's kind of your problem. And the NCAA is, they didn't really think this whole thing through when they started with the NIL. They didn't do a good job of understanding what problems could be happening, could be coming through NIL. You get Nick Saban out there saying, parity's a good thing. It's never going to be equal. It's never going to be even. There's always going to be the haves and the have-nots. Ohio State will always be among the haves. Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, nothing's really changed. You'll see once in a while a situation where a team that maybe was not a blue blood school, didn't have a great tradition, will end up raising some money somehow or getting a coach, and they will raise up and jump up in the rankings and make a push, especially when we get to the 12-team playoff now, where now in 2024, you'll have an opportunity to say you're a playoff team. Only 4 teams can do it every year. Now 12 teams will be able to do it. And so you will see teams sneak into that and get that moniker playoff team. They qualify for the playoffs or whatever. So you will still see things like that. But it's still going to be it's going to be the same schools are still going to keep on rolling and doing well. Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, LSU. Those schools will all still keep doing what they've been successful with so far. Speaking of being successful doing what you do, Ohio State's made a lot of great moves as far as the 2024 recruiting class goes when it comes to the defensive side of the ball. They just picked up Justin Scott, who is from Chicago. St. Ignatius, which I know there's a Cleveland St. Ignatius in Ohio, but he's from Chicago, St. Ignatius School there. The number 14 overall prospect in the country. He is a five-star kid, obviously. Anyway, defensive lineman, and it looked like he was going to be headed to Michigan for the 2024 season, 2024 class, I should say. But then he made a trip to Columbus, and he talked to Ryan Day, talked to Larry Johnson, the legendary recruiter and coach for Ohio State, who's done such a great job at developing players to get ready for the NFL. And basically, that's what Ohio State sold him on. That's what they told Scott, was that they're like, look, hey, we're in 3 years. If you're in 3 years, by the time your third year ends, if you're not an NFL prospect, if that's not your next step, we've done something wrong. And you look at what Larry Johnson's been able to do with all of the guys that he's recruited, all the guys he's brought on that have gone on to great success in the NFL. And so that's what Justin Scott was looking at when he decided to commit to Ohio State over Michigan, Notre Dame, Miami, Illinois. And so he was sold on the fact that he saw what Larry Johnson was able to do with guys like Chase Young, the Bosa brothers, guys like that, even the guys on the team now that are going to be going to the NFL draft coming up. And, so that's what they sold him on. And they did a great job on that. What I love about this is that the coaching staff is working together to get people that will fit in to the offense of Coach Jim Knowles and what Knowles does, the defensive coordinator for Ohio State, and what he's able to do. And, Knowles, when he came on last year, he was forced more or less to work with guys that were already in the system. Now, they were great for most of the season. His defense worked great for most of the season. But now he's getting a chance to get more guys in. Now, this is 2024 class, but he's getting more guys that are going to be coming in that he thinks that guy is a good fit for my system. And that's what's great about this Ohio State thing going forward. Look, they could end up with the top recruiting class in the country for 2024, depending how it all finishes up. Right now, Georgia's still number one. But one thing Scott said was, this is a quote from him, Coach John said, in 4 years, okay, you're not potentially looking at NFL, but I didn't do my job, and that's why they wanted to get it. And that's what sold him on coming to Ohio State. That's what got Justin Scott to come here to Ohio State. So anyway, it was a surprise because most people thought he would end up at Michigan, and he ends up coming to Ohio State. They also landed Ohio State. They got a top 5 cornerback, Bryce West, number 29 overall. He is also he's from Glenville High School up in Ohio, Glenville High School, which is up north. He is a 6 foot, 185 pound cornerback for his high school, and he is the 10th player that was in the ESPN 300 to commit to the Buckeyes at the time. Now, obviously, it's changed with Justin Scott coming on, but so. Again, Ohio State now getting these guys in that Knowles wants that will fit his defense. They also got a tight end, Demarion Witten. He also is coming to the Buckeyes. He's a tight end. He is, also out of Glenville High School, same school, hell of a team. And he is the number 19 tight end nationally, and that's according to 24/7 Sports. The Ohio State got a 4-star safety from New Jersey, Jalen McClain. And it's another one too. He's offered back in March, but now he's also come on to Ohio State after several months after he was recruited, offered by Ohio State. So he's a 6 foot, 185 pound safety for them out of Seton Hall Prep in New Jersey. So these are all wonderful things for Ohio State, and you can see the momentum building with this 2024 recruiting class. 2023 is going to be a huge year for Ohio State, but 2024 is when it gets real, when USC gets in here and they go divisionless, and so just the top 2 teams get in. Ohio State is positioned to have a fantastic season in 2023 again. They're positioned that way. But 2024 now, this class coming in looks really good, which is exactly what Ryan Day needed. Now, I will tell you this. All these 2024 guys are verbal commits. They're not signed on the dotted line yet. We've seen plenty of guys that have committed to Ohio State or other schools, whatever, early, and then they did the verbal commit and then changed their minds and flipped and went somewhere else. So that could still happen with some of these guys. So just keep that in mind. But I always say it is great PR. It's great press if Ohio State, because right now, I think they've got the number 2 class, if I'm not mistaken, in the 2024 season now, and still could surpass Georgia, believe it or not, which is amazing. You know, Georgia's got Dylan Raiola, former Ohio State verbal commit. Perfect example there of somebody who you can't, an instance where you can't necessarily trust somebody committing early. But, and I'm not saying all these guys will stick with Ohio State, and I'm certainly not saying all these guys are going to be studs for Ohio State. It's good PR right now. It helps build momentum then. And then it starts affecting the 2025 class. The 2024 class also, they can still get more guys in this. And you might see a player who says, you know what? The fact that guy's going there and that guy's going there and that defense is going to look like that, I want to be a part of that. I could be a stud on that team also. So it's all momentum building. It's all PR, though, right now. Until they sign on the dotted line and get on the field for Ohio State, it's all PR is what it is right now. I want to talk about basketball for a minute before we get out of here. Men's basketball. Adam Jardy, the Columbus Dispatch, put this out. And I've always wondered about this, but we know the football gets highly publicized for all the money they pay to opponents to come to Ohio State, which is why, and Ohio State likes keeping the money in state. So they always try to schedule at least one, in-state opponent to keep all the money in state. Youngstown State's coming here this season, and Ohio State is going to pay them a good amount of money to come here and not do the home and home. They don't do home and homes with like Ohio schools. It's strictly coming here. We'll pay you this much. And sometimes they say, we're going to cancel this game. We're going to give you this money to buy you out of the game. The reason I bring all this up now, going back to it, the basketball, I always wondered what the basketball teams paid out, what the basketball program, what the athletic department paid out to basketball teams to come to Ohio State to play, because these aren't home and homes typically. It's the preseason, the non-conference schedule. Usually there's a couple of things that get worked in there, tournaments and whatnot, but a lot of the times they build in, a handful of cupcakes, the wrong word, a handful of opponents that Ohio State shouldn't lose to, but they can get some time in. So Ohio State this year, according to I'm Jardy from the Dispatch, also Bucknuts picked this up, but they're going to pay, they've got 6 home non-conference opponents this year that they're paying $455,000 total for those 6. So Central Michigan, Merrimack, and Miami University in New Orleans each get $90,000 to come here. Oakland gets $95,000. Oakland's in Michigan, by the way, not Oakland, California. The Buckeyes, when they play Texas A&M, they're doing the home and home on that one. So they don't pay A&M. A&M doesn't pay Ohio State for that. But so I thought that was interesting that all that happened. I guess the other thing I thought was interesting in the article was that Jardy pointed out was that Ohio State will give 100 tickets out to the other school to distribute among their players, families, whatever, their AD, their athletic department, all stuff, whatever they want to do, the people want to come. For in-state opponents, they'll give more tickets. They'll give 250. So they play Miami, Ohio. They're giving them 250 tickets for the game. The Buckeyes also get $25,000 to go up to Cleveland to play West Virginia in the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. That's on December 30th. No Huggy Bear. We know about that. Bob Huggins no longer, obviously, with the West Virginia Mountaineers. And the Buckeyes, and this is amazing to me, they get $250,000 to play in the CBS Sports Classic. That'll be on Saturday, December 16th. That's that thing that rotates among when you got Ohio State, Kentucky, North Carolina, UCLA, and nothing's been announced yet officially. There's all this speculation out there. It looks like speculation. It looks like Ohio State will probably play UCLA this year, but we'll find out. Again, closer to the season, we'll get more information on that, on what's going to happen there, who in fact Ohio State will end up playing for that. Another note I want to get into about Jim Harbaugh and Ohio State. I think Woody Hayes was the one who really first started doing this, but he would have a portion of every practice, reportedly, a portion of every practice was just strictly about beating Michigan, planning for Michigan. They would have a portion of every practice where they would focus on something they're going to do against Michigan, something they want to accomplish against Michigan. So they would start that very early in the summer, early fall, when they would start working on that, where every practice had a part of it that was devoted to focusing on the Michigan game. Earl Bruce continued it. I don't think John Cooper had it, which may explain a few things. Tressel did it, though. And it got to the point where with Urban Meyer said he had one coach specifically he hired, and his only job, I was a coach, but one person specifically hired for the football team whose entire job was just to watch Michigan, scout Michigan every game, report back to Urban and the coaches about what Michigan did this week, what the opponent did this week that worked, and build up a database of things that you could do to beat Michigan. So it's obviously taken very seriously. Jim Harbaugh's kind of taken a page out of that playbook, and every practice he's got some segment of drills that what they're calling it, that's beat Ohio State. What's interesting, though, so I'm fine with that. Like, mad respect. Good. You should focus on that. That's good. Michigan, Ohio State, the rivalry needs to be great, needs to be competitive. Obviously, Ohio State's lost the last two when they've had more talented teams, by the way. This is Harbaugh's best team I think he's had probably in his tenure at Michigan coming up. But Ohio State's also very strong. Game up in Ann Arbor this year. But I think it's great that Harbaugh's doing that. But the other thing that's kind of a cocky, arrogant thing that Harbaugh's doing is focusing on Georgia. And that seems kind of ballsy because, one, they got to make the playoffs still. Two, they'd have to play Georgia again. But supposedly that's what Harbaugh's also doing, is having a part of the practice strictly devoted to, like, beat Georgia. They've got to beat Georgia, the part of the practice, of beat Ohio State, part of the practice, and that's what they're doing now up in Ann Arbor. So thank you so much for tuning in, by the way. This is the Buckeye Daily Blitz. I'm Jeff Thidoff. At That Happens, where you can follow me. This is on FanStream Sports, powered by DSP Media. We got a lot of other programs that are great on here. You can check them out. So many other things to look at, listen to, and but there's a lot of great talent and great shows that go on here with DSP Media. So thank you so much for tuning in, and let's talk again soon. Follow me on Twitter again, at That Happens, where you can find me. Take care.